Hey, welcome to this full body flexibility class. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel by clicking the button below so you don't miss out on any new classes. But before we get started, you're not going to need any equipment other than just a mat and some space. So when you're ready, let's go. We're just going to start in a nice comfortable seat where we're nice and tall, sitting comfortably, cross-legged, or even just sitting on tops of the shins if that's comfortable for you. Start out by taking the right arm out to the side. I like to call this stretch the cookie jar stretch because it's almost as if you're reaching out for a cookie jar. But you're reaching out through the fingers and just gently allowing that shoulder to kind of fall away from the ear, creating some space from the ear to the shoulder. Again, reaching, and then you can add a little bit more into the neck by dropping the left ear towards the left shoulder. I'm not going to be here for too long. And throughout this class, you want to make sure that your breathing is nice and easy. You're taking it easy. No stretch you're going into is so uncomfortable that you can't breathe easily. Our breath is what allows us to get deeper into stretches so that we can gain that flexibility. Slowly tuck the chin in towards the chest, roll the head through center, bring the arm back in. Left hand goes out. Extend through the left fingertips, reach again for that cookie jar, and then drop the right ear towards the right shoulder, create that space between the left shoulder and the left ear. Again, nice, easy breathing, in and out through the nose. Feel the shoulder drop away with every exhale. Keep reaching through the fingers. Drop the chin in towards the chest, roll the head through center. You're going to make your way onto all fours. With the knees underneath the hips, we're going to walk the hands out towards the top of your mat, just out in front, extend the arms out and just let the chest drop down towards the floor. If the head can rest down onto the ground, that's fine. But if you're kind of just hanging here, you're really looking for that reach through the arms, just opening up through the front of the chest. Just again, nice deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, you feel everything become a little bit heavier, a little bit softer. Opening up through the fronts of the shoulders. Slowly walk the hands back underneath, sit back on tops of the heels, give the arms a bit of a shake. We're going to go to a similar position, but this time just take the arms a little bit wider. So bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Keep the right hand where it is, reach the left arm out, up towards like top left corner. And you're going to lower the left shoulder down towards the mat as you press down into the right arm to turn the body towards the right. So you're really opening up into the chest, really opening up into the front of the shoulder. Sink the chest a little bit lower, maybe rest the head onto the floor. Just hold here. Again, nice slow breathing. In and out through the nose. And every time you do an exhale, you're just really looking for the muscles to relax, everything to just ease in. And that's why if you've gone a bit too far and it's uncomfortable, it's going to be hard to do that. Press into the right hand, bring the left hand in, switch it out, right arm goes up to towards the right, top right corner, lower the right chest down. And then press into the left hand to turn the body towards the left, reach through the right arm. Again, rest the head onto the floor if you want. Just one more breath. Nice. Bring that right hand in, back to center. Sit back onto the heels. Give the arms a bit of a shake. Again, last bit for the shoulders for a little bit. We're going into this all four position. Thread the right arm underneath the left armpit. So thread it through and under. Keep the right palm facing up, and then the right shoulder makes its way down towards the floor, and then you can extend the left arm up overhead. Get this nice twist in the body, but we're also looking to square the shoulders off. So you're trying to draw that left armpit down towards the ground as you sink the weight into the right bicep. Again, just a few rounds of breath here. And we're not going to be too long in these stretches, but if you find one that's like amazing for you and you feel like you want to stay there a little bit longer, feel free to stop the video, hang out there a little bit longer. But it's really the breathing that we're just focusing on, just really relaxing in whilst we're in the stretches. Pressing the left hand, come back through center, extend the right arm out towards the top of the mat, thread the left arm underneath, across the body, lower the chest down, just sitting onto kind of that left bicep and just really relaxing a bit. Nice, easy breath. Press into the right hand, come back, sit back onto the heels, give the arms a bit of a shake. Hands down onto the mat, keeping the knees as they are, slowly lower the hips down towards the wrists. Press down into the hands. You're kind of finding this modified up dog position with the knees down. But from here, we're just going to tick-tock the hips from side to side. Take the right hip towards the right wrist, and then the left hip over towards the left wrist. And it feels great on the lower back, on the front of the hips. But if you feel too much pressure on the lower back, just engage into the core a little bit. So tense into the core, and that just takes a bit of pressure away from the lower back. But you get all of that feeling in the front of the hips. And then we'll come to center and just hold here for 5, 4, 3, feels so good, 2, 1. Bring the hips back. Again, give the arms a bit of a shake. Move the hips from side to side. Back to all fours, we're going to step our left foot in between the hands, find our way into a low lunge. Set it up. So here, if you set your low lunge up where you have the feet and the knees in front of each other, you'll probably find that you might actually lose your balance. So I like to think of having your feet on train tracks. That way you can feel the balance, you feel nice and solid. But we're taking the front knee, the hands onto the front knee to press our chest away. We're trying to create space here rather than lean forward. As we do that, we're sinking the hips forward and down, get into that stretch on the back, focusing on this back hip, this hip flexor. And you feel a little bit into the left hip as well. Take a few rounds of breath. I'm kind of going to flow through a few stretches here on one side before we switch it out onto the other side. Slowly straighten into the left leg. Keep the right knee where it is. So it's above, underneath, the right hip is above the right knee. And you can extend the left leg out. Hinge from the hips. Take a bend into the left knee to begin with, so the fingertips make its way to the floor. And then depending on where your hamstring is at for flexibility, if you need to take a deep bend here, you get a pretty good hamstring stretch here. But if you need to press into the left heel to lengthen through the left hamstring, then here you'll find a little bit more definitely. We're just going to hold this for a few rounds of breath. Bend into the left knee, sink. You can kind of draw that left heel back a little bit before we get going, and then we'll sink the hips forward and down. Bring the hands to the inside of the left foot. So the left foot is kind of on the outside of the hands, and then you can walk the hands forward, reach out, extend, get into this lizard lunge, lift through the chest, lower the hips down. And then if you feel like you want to sway from side to side, just to find a little bit more space or find a different area where you feel the stretch, then just moving around is a great way of finding that. Before you find it, hold there and then take a few deep breaths. Just feel on that exhale, everything release. Nice, walk the hands back. Tuck the back toes under, and you're going to step the right foot forward to meet the left. Lengthen through the body, fold forward over the fronts of the thighs. You'll feel the difference in the hamstrings as you step the left foot back towards the back of the mat. Lower the knee down towards the mat. Again, finding this low lunge, sink the hips forward and down, this time onto the right side, untuck the back toes. Get a little bit more into that back hip. Create that space here between the knee. Press the chest away, sink the hips forward and down. Just a few rounds of breath. Really lower down onto the exhale. Feel the hips sink forward and down. extend the right leg. Readjust if you need to, but making sure that left hip is stacked above that left knee. Hinge from the hips, bend into the right knee if you need to. So you bring the chest towards the right thigh, fingertips onto the floor, extend into the right leg to whatever range you feel you're at. So it doesn't really matter if you're folding completely forward, or like you can go way past your toes almost, or even if you're kind of pretty upright and that's pretty intense for you with a deep bend. Whatever level you're at, it's just about improving from that level. So it's not about how comparing yourself to what someone else might be able to do. It's wherever you're at, and we're looking to improve you from that position. So find the place where you feel it the most, and we're just going to hang out there, breathe through it. Slide the right heel back slightly, just about an inch or two. Sink the hips forward and down. Bring the hands to the inside of the right foot. Extend through the chest. Reach through the arms. And then sink the hips forward and down. Again, you can wiggle around a little bit. Find a little bit more space. Again, nice slow breathing. Move the hips from side to side. Bring the hands underneath the chest, tuck the back toes under, step forward towards the top of the mat, lengthen through the body, exhale, fold forward. And then you let the back of the head just relax completely. So you give it a bit of a shake it no, nod it yes. Slowly lower the hips down towards the floor to find yourself into a squat. So as low as you can get into your squat, whether that's sort of halfway or lowering the hips all the way down kind of into this full yogi squat. We're just going to hold here. 3, 2, 1 before we drop the hips down towards the floor, find our way into a seat. Feet flat onto the ground, we're just going to rock the knees from side to side, drop them out to the side so you get this nice internal rotation. Feels great on the hips. Probably one of my favorites for letting everything just ease off. So we're going to work a little bit more into the hips. So swing the legs back behind you so you're on all fours. And if you've got a mat, you'll want to make sure that you can take the knees wide and you're facing the long edge of the mat. So you can take the knees wide and still have your knees on the mat. If you need to pad underneath the knees, because this stretch can be a little bit intense. So take it easy, take it to a range for you that is comfortable, where you also feel stretch. So staying onto the hands, extending the arms out, you're just slowly taking the hips back towards the heels. The heels are just outside the knees with the feet turned out. So you've not got the heels on the inside of the knees, you've just got them on the outside line of the knees. And then you sink the hips back, rock them back, and then forward. You'll know very quickly how deep you need to get into the stretch because your hips will start talking to you. But especially if you're a guy, sometimes the hips can be real tough. I find a lot of guys that will just, this stretch can be super, super tough for them. And it's a real tough one, but just don't force yourself into a real deep stretch. Just rock the hips forward and back. One more time. This time bring the hips forward, bring the heels together, bring the knees back together. Sit back on top of the heels. Ease it out. We're going to make our way onto a seat again so that we have the feet flat onto the ground. And we're going to take the left heel on top of the right knee. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. You can pick the hips up, take the hips towards the heel, the right heel that's grounded on the floor. Keep pressing into the ground, feel this stretch through the hips. If yours looks a little bit like this, and that's a good stretch for you into that left glute, that's fine. Or draw that right heel in, take the hip and the heel a little bit closer, so you feel that stretch just a little bit more. Nice. Bring the hips back, undo the legs, switch it out, right heel on top of the left knee, pick the hips up, take the hips towards the left heel, lower them down, press down into the ground with the hands, lift through the chest, create length in the body. So rounding through the body will take the stretch out of it, whereas if you press down into the hips and lengthen through the body and find as much length in that spine as you can, then you'll add on a little bit more into the stretch. Nice, bring the hips back, feet go flat onto the ground, roll all the way onto your back, draw the knees in towards the chest, just give them a little bit of a light squeeze so you kind of massage the lower back into the ground. And then let both feet fall down towards the ground. As you keep the knees together, both knees fall over to the left, just a nice gentle twist. You can extend the right arm out to the side. It's nice and easy. Finish off with this twist. Nice and slow breathing. Bring the knees back through center. Guide the knees over to the right. Extend the left arm out. Create the twist. It's fine if the knees just ground onto the floor and the shoulders lifted. Some people think you need to have the knees on the floor and the shoulder on the floor, but if you just ground the knees and then work the shoulder open, you get this real great twist. Then eventually you'll probably get to a place where you have both on the floor. Bring the knees back through center, hug them in. Hug them in, keep the body nice and straight. So feel the tailbone work its way down towards the ground. Hug the knees in towards the armpits, create circles with the knees. Bring the knees back together, hug them in. Take the knees wide, create circles. 2 more, hug the knees in, take them wide. Hug them in. Take them wide. Hug the knees in, give them a squeeze. Roll your way up to a seat. And you're good to go. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel by clicking the button below so you don't miss out on any classes. Anyway, I'll see you again next time.